This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the FemForce podcast. My name is Rachel Pasfan, and I am your host. And today I am so excited to be joined by Shuang Min, a holistic success activator and intuitive healer. She's also a former fashion executive who now empowers high achievers to create aligned success through universal love. You know, she started off in Milan to Mumbai, from corporate boardrooms to spiritual initiations. So she has lived such a different life. And I'm so excited that we get to be joined by her today to learn all about that. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, Rachel and everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and your background and where you are now and what you're doing.
I'm a former bred Taiwanese, and so at this very moment, I'm in Taiwan.
Amazing.
I grew up here and had basically all my education up until university in my home country, and then I went to India for around 3 years. So I have my first 2 jobs in India. And then again, later on, we will we'll talk about it. Like, I had my depression in India, and then I moved to Italy for 2 years and a half. So I have my master in fashion, and then started my fashion career in Milan. And then I moved to China I stayed there for 8 years, where I built my whole fashion career and also left my fashion career behind. And in between, I travel a lot.
Yeah.
So like Europe, Asia, a bit of North America, and like a bit of Africa, like all over the place. I love traveling. And then I left corporate in the dream, one of the dreams to surfing. But of course, there's a lot more because of how I felt inside and my evolution and so on. So that's my long story short.
Hey, we love a long story short. And I mean, you've been hustling. You have been hustling from the beginning within your corporate career, and then, through your studies and into, just this international kind of movements throughout your life. What was the moment that you were like, this hustle it's not working anymore. Like, I need a break?
One very, very clear moment was actually when I quit corporate and I was starting this coaching healing practice alongside surfing. And I quit corporate with the intention that I needed breath room. I needed some pause from the busy pace. Somehow, we can fall into our comfort zone really easily. So what I did is, other than, yes, I had my play, like morning was a surfing. Yeah. Other than that, I actually packed my day. And then because I was doing the business on my own, and I deal with international time zones, it was crazy because the United States is totally opposite. And then Australia, New Zealand, Australian was much later. So I was dealing with crazy time zones. And the first thing I did was actually my sleep. I could
right.
Everything was packed because it seems like the stake is even higher than when I was younger, because I had a lot of successes before. So now I came out, and then the type A personality in me is I needed to prove myself again. Yeah. So I have to say, it was really subconscious until I really caught it. So, but nothing worked. Every time I set my schedule, I reckon myself. Every time I promise it to do, I am someone that if I promise, I made a commitment, I promise a deadline, I always deliver ahead. That was me. But then I couldn't deliver at all. There are so many external commitments. It was just delayed. And then I had a new layer of self-sabotaging and judgment because it never happened to me before. Yeah. So it was the first question was what the hell was wrong with me? Yeah. I couldn't keep up a schedule, and I was famous for my discipline. And so that was the really first moment I started I was hitting hard on the wall. to a point that I told myself, okay, the old way is really not working. I didn't know why. I didn't know how. I just knew nothing was working for me.
No, 100. I mean, you're burning the candle at both ends. And I mean, it's the term burnout, I feel like didn't really even come about until a couple of years ago, which is like so
Yeah,
sad because it's been happening for so long, and especially for
yeah.
women, because we're doing so much and we're trying to do it all and trying to figure out how to do it all and balancing all these different balls. And I mean,
Yeah.
you said in India at 23, you had a spiritual initiation. What was that like?
It was I have time to say that now using this term, it's like I understood more of my
Yeah.
journey. So look back, I will use these terms. But in India, it was like the first time I went out of my country and spent in a very international settings, because like in India, the life was like every single day I could meet 10 new people from 10 new countries. And India itself was also a very intense culture. So I was constantly having culture shock, and I was in a new country. And then like I had so many things that mirror back to me that I didn't understand. You know, like people have different ideas about life, people have different upbringing, and people have different like reasons to be in India. And then I was in my first job, and I was facing also like because I managed at the first job, I was managing online marketing for Taiwanese market for
Yeah.
language service Indian company. So that was the first time like I wasn't sure whether I could perform because I was really good at school, but then like a job is a totally different thing. And so I was also like dealing with a lot of pressure. And then I was more mature. So it was like a 22, 23. So our brain like really started to mature and
Yeah.
started to, I guess, conceptualize more deeply of our self identity, also like how the external will reflect back to us. So at that time, I also have a huge discrepancy of I spent a lot of time thinking myself wasn't enough for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And then when the external feedback was like, there are so many things I didn't understand. There are so many people who have different ideas about life. There wasn't what I was familiar with. At the same time, everyone was expecting back home, everyone was
Yeah.
expecting me to perform because I was a straight A student. So there was a lot of conflicts. I don't see myself out in that or in the image of I expect myself to be.
Mhm.
So that discrepancy later on became, and then I broke up with my first boyfriend. There was like huge push.
It's those, hey, it goes along with it. It changes paths. Like we get that. Relationships are relationships
Yeah,
in there. I get
yeah, and
that.
it really made me rethink what does it mean to be worthy of love and who I was, being loved and being unloved in such obvious way. And so, like the whole thing all together, I just went into depression, which went really badly. And the last couple of months, like I wanted to cry.
I mean, kind of
Yeah,
understandable. Yeah. And I
yeah.
mean, when you're going through all of this, I mean, you obviously came out on top, but what did burnout really, and all this burnout that occurred to you, what did it teach you about your relationship with success and what success now means to you?
Um, all those spin out taught me that if I keep going in that way, I will always come to a point that I feel really empty because it's just the thing. Like we keep giving, keep giving, keep giving, and actually the external validation will never be enough when we don't have an internal system to refuel ourselves. So burnout taught me that if I keep that way, I will always feel face a time of emptiness and face a time I wanted to give up. So the tendency is I will just scrap everything. It
Yeah.
happens so many times in my life. I'll just scrap everything in a passive aggressive way because I was too tired. And then I will start. So in a way, I also took myself out of the meditation for myself, I actually built a lot of foundation. I went through a lot of life experience. And every time I started anew, I feel like I wasn't enough. So I was actually going through a very deep layer of self-unlove and self-sabotaging. And I need even more force, with age, with previous accumulated like credits
patterns.
and
Yeah. You have deep
yeah.
patterns
And
just from
and then
age.
there was like just more on stake and also more impatient because I want to succeed even faster than the last time. So it was like kind of wheel, it was turning faster, faster, faster to a point that I couldn't catch up. And so like the wheel was turning me. I wasn't the one who is turning the wheel. So through the journey of especially that particular obvious realization, I had been on a journey also redefining and also like asking myself, yes, that's a success for sure. Like I have more money, I have more title, but what else? So for me, I talk about alignment a lot. The only way is that I need to prove myself I can, right? Like I can get a title, I could get in the company, I could get the money, I could get the travel. That's one way because that's our human intention to pursue new experiences. And now at the same time, what I also care as much, if not more, is what's my expression in it. Am I expressing in a way that's actually nurturing? And I'm experiencing a way it's now I get a new client, it's because of my radiance, my vibration to echo with that person. Instead of I need this person to validate I'm a good coach. And then like every moment in life becomes equal because in corporate it's like fair do is less productive and less value than creating a sales report. So we immediately separate us from our abundance from like every moment because there only always certain hours in our day that's more valuable than the others. But for me, it's not the same anymore. Like tending my plants is as important as having the conversation here with you because I get to choose. I get to choose my expression. It's like doing these paintings with it's not creating more other values than for myself. And here with you, I'm creating value with you and your audience, maybe much more. But for me, it's the same value of my time and my energy. And that's important because my day feel much joyful and I don't feel separated anymore. I don't feel like there are a moment in my day I'm more valued and moment in my day I'm less valued. I'm all the same. It's just my expression that difference.
And is that something you work on with your clients really closely? I mean, I feel like it would be to find their value first and foremost and then work from how does that work?
Yeah. So basically I work with my clients with mapping all their vision from inside out.
Okay.
So I take there are many traditionalists mention it, but we have different layers of bodies. So in yoga practice, we call subtle bodies. And when we talk in my work, when we talk about alignment, it's this physical body, emotional body, mental body, astral body, how we tap into all that and move into environment. Like mental body, it's easy to understand. It's like our thinking, our thoughts, our patterns. And emotional body is also easy to understand our bodies. And all these bodies is actually us. It's like the I we are talking about. If we want to talk about I, it's not just this body. It's not just like the identity, I'm disciplined or not. No, like this, everything come together. It's when we say alignment and we are experience the wholeness of self. So I work with my client with this internal environment. What is the vision for this internal environment? A lot of times we have this list of I cannot control my thought. We misidentify ourselves with our thought, or we cannot control our emotion, or we cannot work with our emotion, and we cannot tap into intuition. For information, everyone can tap into your intuition at least, if not other spirits. Okay, so that is available for us, and that create our internal environment. And this internal environment will later on through our day radiate or express themselves through our relationship. So we talk about relationship patterns and how come I always meet the same kind of friends, right? This actually a radiance of our internal environment
Yeah.
and our finance. So people talk about financial wounds or money wounds, and then our career and how we see ourselves in the career. And it also like define our internal environment, define our relationship with our career and our social group, our community, and with our family. So I actually guide, the first step is usually always guide my clients through all this process, like internal environment and how they want to radiate the external environment,
Yeah.
and started to see what's a common theme for them at this stage, at that particular stage of their life when they work with me. It's the most important, and how they can express them more, and what it's not in alignment in their current life right
Yeah.
now. And let's weed that out. So this is the first process that I always go through.
No,
So
and it's just, it makes so much sense that you really have to start from the beginning and start from like those root
yeah.
issues. And you mentioned being type A. Do you feel like a lot of type A individuals, myself included over here, like it's harder for us to really dive into the emotional aspects of how to fix things? Because I look at it from like a very logical standpoint and I'll be like, no, it's not anything to do with that. And it's hard sometimes for me to grasp others and how like the emotional effects, even from a beginning
Yeah.
stage on.
Yeah. First, because we are wired to do.
Mhm.
So a lot of times, because in general, we perceive emotion as an obstacle to doing. So we are really good at not feeling it, minimize it, or just ignore it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong because we have a goal of doing and achieving. So the part is to get clear slowly. Usually, there's a wheel of emotions. So I usually will, like Google online that wheel and then send it to my clients. I want you to log your day
Yeah.
as the emotion as detailed, like find the most detailed description that you can, because like even me, like English is not my first language. So I use usually happy, joy, bliss, like all the big
Yeah.
general words a lot. But even when now, like if I want to check in with myself, I will still open the wheel and check in with myself. How do I feel undervalued? I feel irritated. I feel annoyed. And I try to train myself using these words
Mhm.
in my journal. It's a journey. And then a lot of times that to type A people, high achievers, they will get really annoyed. Like, don't talk about emotion with me anymore.
Yep.
Like, get to this goal. But our emotion, it's our doorways actually to more creation, because all our behavior is filled with emotion. Like if we don't feel anything, we won't do anything.
Yeah.
So imagine if we can really tune in our emotion and make it our friends, or even like create the emotion actually feel us, we have more power to create. Actually, it's just a process. So I will tell them like stay with it, and I usually ask them to journal or log in their own way, because not everyone can sit there and journal for even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I ask them to log their day to see their transition, because
Okay.
they need to feel the transition in day-to-day life. Like maybe something used to be trigger them so easily, and then realize they can take 5 second pause, and
Mm.
that's the encouragement for
Yeah.
them to go on. So usually I will put in place and ask them like, you need to observe, because awareness is the first thing of change,
Yeah.
always. So it's also a way to train them to level up their self-awareness.
Yeah. No, 1,000%. And like, I feel like, especially for type A people, it's giving them structure still of like, you need to take
Yeah.
a 5 minute,
Yeah.
5 second pause, 5 minute pause, and like think about
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
organize your thoughts, which any type A person would love to be able to organize their thoughts and then
Yeah. Yeah.
analyze a little bit from there. So
Yeah.
it just makes more sense. And then when you
Yeah.
have these, high achieving individuals, how does energy reveal itself to you? How do you know that your energy is like there and it's revealing itself to you and it's saying like, I'm here, I'm ready, but I need help in this way? When do people realize that?
Usually during our combined process is that people who are interested in working with me, they can have like 30-minute calls with me. So it depends on how much they already share with me through the form. But usually the first session is to understand what they think where they are.
Mhm.
I have like what they think it's not real, what they think where they are and where they want to go. And then depends, sometimes I will extend one coaching just for them to see how it would be like to work with me. And usually when people feel it, they will know this is what they want,
Okay.
because a shift, it's very emotional. You know, if someone who come to me keep telling, I don't know whether this is right, I don't think this is the life I want, I don't think how I'm going forward from here. And the moment they know, they know. Or someone, I had clients which came to me because of breakup, it was just too hard. And then they will have the moment when during the conversation, usually the first conversation, they will have the moment of, oh, I'm totally fine or lovable, or depends on what kind of issue they are dealing with. Or they will realize that their issue is not about a breakup. It's a breakup, it's a reflection of something deeper. And once they tap into it, either the person will choose to go forward or they won't.
Yeah.
It will be very obvious. Yeah, because this is whether we are willing to see for ourselves is also a choice, and not everyone is ready on the spot. And I have to honor that, of course.
Yeah, I would think so because I mean, everybody's goals are going to be so different going into this and
Yeah,
what they really want to end
yeah,
up with at the end of it, which makes complete
yeah.
sense. I mean, when you're doing this kind of work and you're helping so many others, really reach their own, reclaim their own energy in like such a data-driven, result-driven world, how do you define success with a client? How do you know when they've reached that point of like healing?
Usually, sorry. You want to fix your question? I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I know, just like the healing. When would they know?
The process is that I will define with them what they want to see on the other side after working with me. So at the beginning, they will have, of course, at the end, through the journey, they may change the definition, but it was the way of keeping themselves to track themselves. Because if you want result or you want to see the difference, you have to do the work. I do my work, and the other side needs to do your work, because in the end of the day, it's their lives.
Yeah.
And then are they tracking it? For example, if they tell me like, I want to find a way not spending time, because usually it's very tangible when they come to me. I want to find a way not to spending unnecessary time in the office anymore, because maybe they are facing the pressure of working long hours
Yeah.
without particular reason, right? Especially in Asian culture. Then I will ask them to track themselves, how is doing, and how do you put into places the actions we discussed about, right? So they will
Yeah.
see whether they are through it or not going through it. And then usually through the journey, they will realize what they came to me was not the real issue. Everything, the service issue, is just a reflection of deeper inner environment of us. And then they may change their goals or objective working with me throughout, or may not. And so when they tell me, if it's really tangible, of course, when they reach it, but they will usually share with me that now I feel much better. In what way? Then
Mhm.
I know there's breakthroughs. Because for me, again, success, if we define it, if only this is a success, then means that the rest is not. So I really focus about they feel like uplifted, or they feel like less bothered
Yeah.
than compared to before. So there are a lot of signs of shifts that I can pick up, even maybe they are not exactly matching the final goals they say they want to reach, but I focus on those small shifts because type A, we already trained to look at the big result. We
Yeah.
don't need another person to look at the big result for us. Right? So like I kind of play the role to encourage them to create the small shifts rather than focus on that, because the big result will come. We know, like, if we gear up for a sales result, we will get there
Yeah.
at some point, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, it's the in the middle, the shifts that's important.
And you mentioned that like this occurs a lot in Asian culture. Do you feel like this occurs a lot more in women than in men? Because women are trying to, juggle more. I think women are always trying to juggle more, and especially if you're a mom or, and you're a working mom and you're a student or whatever it may be.
I think for men, it's quite straightforward because they will expect it that way. So they will look long hours. And what I notice in men is they just kind of, even not intentionally, like putting everything else as a secondary or on the third place on their plate, because they were expected to spend a lot of time in their career, in their profession, and in a professional setting. And for women, maybe yes, but for women, what I notice more is they suffer a lot of guilt and shame because they need to juggle a lot
Yeah.
of roles, and like moms, wife, and not mentioning that whether they are in career or not in career, there are a lot of set of roles that women are expected that's more prominent than
Yeah.
men. It's not like men doesn't have their struggle, that men also have their struggle, but women mostly, whether they spend more time in work or not, whether they choose their children, like pick up the children and so on, or their
Yeah.
work, they are always going through shame and guilt. Because if they are not at work, they think like, oh, that I had
What are
to,
they should be doing something. We should always be
yeah,
doing something.
something for something. There's always this struggle. And then we are also in the role like we are a giver. So when we judge ourselves, I'm not giving enough time at work, or I'm not giving time for my family, I'm not giving enough time for myself, or I'm not giving enough time for the friends, we started falling into that pit of shame and guilt. And that's a lot. That's really common.
I mean, that makes sense. And it's got to be really common. And we've got to be,
Yeah.
like you said, taking these small kind of steps to reclaim our energy. And I would assume that once you do that, you're going to be so much more successful in so many different areas of your life because you're
Yeah.
focusing more on you and like what
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah. And also there's more synergy, because now synergy is we're very talked about. Right now, synergy is about I do one thing and it vibrate out to my other areas or other things I want to achieve.
Yeah.
So imagine if you have a really good relationship with your children, and that energy, that totality, that love is going to infuse into your work. There's no doubt, because you are a person feeling that you are fully given, fully received,
Yeah.
fully receiving. And that energy is going to go into your friends, go into your community, going into your parents, going into your work. And imagine that if we are a person who is we feel like we're given fully without regret, and we receive fully in the full support that we need, how we can perform in every moment in time.
Yeah. It's
And
accounted for.
spending time yeah.
No. And especially just we've been given this false narrative of like the hustle culture, the girl boss, the like you have to be doing it all,
Yeah,
or how are we successful? And I think we also we we glorify being busy. I know that it's something that I've
yeah.
definitely worked on if I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so busy, I'm doing all this stuff. I have to fill every part of my calendar. If there's
Yeah.
a moment that's free, I'm like, well, then I should be doing something. I should be learning Russian or should, figure out how to be a professional football player, whatever it is. I'm like, I should be doing,
Yeah.
I should always be
Yeah.
doing more. And I think that's something that's really hard, is to like finally realize that it doesn't make you any better, and it doesn't give you any more glory or any more claim
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I went through that for myself
Right? Yeah.
since like very, very young age.
Yeah.
Not just like my professional role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it takes, I mean, it happens to, I feel like it really happens to women at all different stages of their life. And, it's also a generational thing and like where we've been and, from a later generation, they were stay-at-home moms, which is
Yeah.
a hard job, is the most difficult job that there is. But then we got into the era of like, well, you're a mom and you're working. And then it was, well, you can't just be working. You also have to be the boss, but you also have to be a mom
Yeah.
while being the boss, while doing this, while being
Yeah.
the PTA. And like, I don't like there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, that's a big, big thing that I'm like, it's taken me a while and I'm 38 to like really realize like the hustle culture, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Like, what am I really getting at the end of
No,
it?
no, no, yeah. And also, I guess in that culture, it's also well, now this is going to sound a bit like conspiracy theory, but when we are really busy, we are actually don't have time to attend to ourselves.
Yeah.
When we are busy, when we are busy at the checklist, which is given to ourselves without rethinking it, we have even less time to think about ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we human beings, our logical mind function as only if I do something, something will happen. And actually, there are a lot of things that's happening on top of our doing or not doing that makes things happen, right? And if we sleep, we are not doing anything in a way, like time still pass. And we all have the experience, we wake up the other day and the situation from yesterday somehow change itself.
Yeah.
We all have this kind of experience. So it's really linked into the trust, knowing that I am not here alone, no matter whether I see it or not. And another way I encourage my clients to start thinking at the beginning is that you are either checking a list or you are creating something.
Yeah.
And creation, in a very small way, even you go to a private class, during your holiday, or you have your hobby as writing or painting, like all different creative activities. We all know we shift gear in the middle of the way. I don't find the color like exactly in my imagination. So I need to shift the way I try to put the color together. Or, like our creative process is always changing. It's not a checklist. So the question here in the long term is that, do we want to create our life or do we want to spend our life checking off lists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to spend it checking off? I mean,
Yeah.
go to the podcast, but it really is.
Yeah.
Sit there and think like, is that really what I want?
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Am I just checking
Yeah.
boxes or am I having these like meaningful moments?
Yeah.
Like what kind of life do you want to look back on and remember, and what kind of life do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
And that's a whole deep question.
Yeah, I think like, yeah, and I personally, I found these questions. I know sometimes, especially at the beginning, it's very hard to think about. Like, I personally, I have a habit of, especially in moment in doubts, I have a habit of asking myself, if today I'm dying, how would I want to frame this moment if I still remember?
Wow. Yeah. No, that's
Right.
reflection.
Right. Yeah. And it could be a question very out there or very crazy and very uncomfortable, but in the end of the day, we talk, there are so many stories about someone at their last moment and what they say. And then we are always like, everyone knows, like it's already out there, also in personal development. Like most people, when they on their last days, what they think about is not, how much money they make, what kind of title they have. They are all talking about the relationship and love. But are we really living that? It's a very nice story. It's all before we are really that at the moment, it's kind of other people's story. But if we take it as a reflection,
yeah,
how I want to see back in this moment, I know I'm happy with my life. Like I have very clear definition. Of course, like it evolved. Like I have very clear definition of what means alive to me. So I went to sign also like donating my body, my organ, and some medical will just less than a month ago, because I want to really take care, because I have a clear definition of what aliveness is. So if I have a clear definition of what aliveness, I would like to bring it in my day, in everything. So maybe a person, like someone who's listening to this, is not feeling like thinking that best moment is like too overwhelming.
Yeah.
Just think about next month. Beginning of the month, we usually will check what we do next month. And even if you don't do it, like your corporate wants you to do it, just review the sales of last month. So take that moment also reviewing your last month. And then every time like you are triggered or you feel not so well or you feel negative, ask yourself next month, like we are in June. So 1st July, when I look back in this moment, how I want to see myself, reframe this moment. And that will give
monthly
you
check-in, and it's not that hard to do it once a month.
Yeah. So this habit will shift a lot for you if anyone put into practice. Like for me, like internal environment is always a primary, because everything outside of us is really, really a reflection of whatever we feel and hold inside. So clean our internal environment, organize it and nurture it and cheer it up. You will see a lot of things change outside without doing much about it.
No, and that's the best advice that we can give. And I think that just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
As we're wrapping up here, I like to ask one final question that I ask to all my guests. If you could give one piece of advice to your 16-year-old self, what would that be?
Wow, 16 is interesting.
Yeah, she's a different girl.
I will tell her that she is doing extremely well and she's really amazing. Even she doesn't realize it at all. And I will tell her that all her aspiration about traveling, about seeing the world, about understanding life seems so unattainable.
Yeah.
But have more trust in herself and just keep going. It all will come at some point in time.
Yeah.
Just don't give up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tell everybody where they can find you online. Plug them both, plug it all.
So I am on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So Instagram is Shuang Min, LinkedIn is Shuang Min Chang. And I have a newsletter. So if you want to receive insight stories and practices, subscribe to my newsletter. And the link, maybe Rachel will share it. If not, it's on my profile. Put it in the profile. Yeah, it's on my social profile link. And I am so grateful to be here today.
No, thank you so much. I think this was such an interesting topic and just something that everybody can take with them, a little piece of advice on how to get some of your energy back and a little bit of yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.